is a pretty stacked resume.
Yeah, a recent player as well. I mean, I remember playing him back in Lille, back in 2022, saying, oh, I'm a new player. I'm somebody who's coming on, coming onto the competitive scene. I'm somebody who wants to gain this, reputation. I want to play well. And, seeing him here on the big stage, it's fantastic to see that really effort breaks through performance.
And his opponent will be Gino, Stuttgart Regional Top 8, Lille Top 32, EUIC Top 64, and Stuttgart Regional Top 64 as well. All very recent accomplishments. So Gino definitely knows his way around the top tables. He'll be trying to do his best to etch his best ever finish. If he wins this one, he can add a top 4 at the very minimum to that resume, and that'll be his biggest finish ever. So I'm sure Gino wants this just as much. And it's going to be interesting, because that means there's storylines no matter who wins.
Yes.
If Johan wins, he could start his journey to becoming a back-to-back special champion. If Gino wins, he gets his best ever finish. Let's consult these prize cards though. Budu, Charizard, and Dreepy for Gino, and then for Johan, the Latias EX actually could be very impactful. That's how you get your maneuverability for this Raging Bolt deck. But here we go, Benjamin. Our top 8 feature match here in the Utrecht Championship is getting started. Johan on the left, kicking us off with an Espel.
Yeah, and we didn't speak much about Gino's deck that you're bringing up. We saw it from the prize card, that Charizard EX in the prize cards. It is that Dragapult Charizard archetype, not something that we see very often. It is actually one of, I would say, the least popular Dragapult archetypes. Interesting to see how this matchup faces out, just because Raging Bolt has that sort of unlimited damage output with the Bellowing Thunder attack. Now, how does Gino go about this? He does have a way of one-hitting that Raging Bolt with the Charizard, so it's whether Johan can get around those awkward HP costs, get around the disruption in Gino's deck, and take these large 2 prizes turn after turn.
And is Johan, so let's take a quick second to discuss how this Raging Bolt EX archetype works. In case you don't know, just came off a regional victory in Milwaukee. It's pretty simple, for the most part. Raging Bolt EX is very hard with Bellowing Thunder, but you need to discard energy to use it. Till Mask Ogerpon attaches energy via Till Dance, and Fan Rotom, just as it's going to come down there, can search out your support Pokemon. What support Pokemon are those, I hear you ask? Well, Noctowl has the Dual Seeker ability. When you evolve into it, as long as you have a Terra Pokemon in play, which of course Till Mask Ogerpon is, search your deck for any 2 trainer cards you like. That's going to keep you ticking throughout the rest of the game. And don't be twisted, it's not just Till Dance that Johan can use to accelerate energy. Also has Professor Sada and Crisping. Professor Sada attaches from the discard pile, and Crisping searches from the deck, and then lets you get extra energy in play. So Johan's game plan is simple: get energy in play and discard them for big damage via Bellowing Thunder.
One thing I would say as an added element is that this Teal Mask Ogerpon will be able to use its Grass type as an advantage against the Charizard EX. So that Myriad Leaf Shower 30 plus 30 more damage for each energy attached. And of course, in connection with the Teal Dance, is easily able to accelerate energy onto that Teal Mask Ogerpon as well. So that could come into play also. So we'll see a very, very varied approach from Johan to this game. There are very different ways in which to take advantage of the board state, and not to mention that baby Roaring Moon is well easily able to take out smaller HP Pokemon, even on bench, get around possible Badoo disruption as well, using that Thunderburst Storm, 30 damage to one of your Pokemon for each energy attached, and like you mentioned, accelerating it with that Professor Sada Vitality. It's easy pickings for Johan. He has multiple ways to approach this game.
Certainly does, as it does pass over after turn attachment to Gino. And while Gino is doing his Arven, let's have a quick discussion about his deck. It is the Dragapult EX Charizard EX archetype. We've seen a lot of Dragapult EX, which loves to hit the damage, or hit the active for massive damage, and sprinkle 6 damage counter to the bench. That's nice. We love that. We love that. We see that quite a lot. However, one card we don't see too much often, or terribly often, I should say, Charizard EX. And I love this addition to the deck. Because what this does, Charizard EX is not only a big, hefty Stage 2 Pokemon with 330 hit points, but Burning Darkness is a very strong attack. 180 damage at the start of the game. For every prize card your opponent has taken, you do an extra 30. And Infernal Rain sets itself attaching energy when you evolve into it. So this is actually a very dangerous deck for Johan to deal with, because it gives the traditional Dragapult EX deck a bit more of an oomph into the active, right?
It certainly does. I mean, it increases its damage output. Usually with Dragapult, we've seen it multiple times on stream now, only having 200 damage available as an output with that Phantom Dive can sometimes be at its detriment a little bit. It doesn't have any opportunity to take those one-shot knockouts. It rather, spreads the damage a little bit to take a multiple prize knockout and do a little bit of dancing around. However, with that added element of the Charizard EX, it does provide the player with the opportunity to take one-shot knockouts with that Burning Darkness attack. And here we see the pass over to Johan with an Itchy Pollen. I think for Gino, it's how effective can his disruption be against Johan? How effective can my Iron Nose be against Johan? Can I force him to use those Noctowls earlier on? Can I reduce the opportunities for Johan to get his support Pokemon up and running? Can I get around those large damage outputs of the Raging Bolt? I think that's going to be the story of this game.
We are going to see a Till Dance activation, attach your Grass Energy and draw a card. Looks like Johan's a little bit stuck. We do see the Lightning Energy in hand, but Bellowing Thunder, you having to discard an energy to deal 70 damage, not the most efficient. Once you Professor Sada, that's good. Then you attach 2 energy to your ancient Pokemon, 1 to each one, and then draw 3 cards. This is nice. So I have a turn attachment here as well, but don't forget, Itchy Pollen prevents your opponent from playing any item cards next turn. So Raging Bolt deck does play a lot of items traditionally. They cannot be used. Once you turn attachment to the active, with Bellowing Thunder, discard as many energy as you like from your Pokemon and play. You do 70 for each one you discarded. So we only need to discard 1. So we can get a big KO. Well, I guess a little KO on this will do.
Yeah, Johan does want to be applying pressure, but knocking out Badu isn't really ideal. He wants to be taking out those really important resources like the Treepies, like this Treepie with the energy attached, but is forced to take out that Badu. He does still need to take knockout. You know, the Roaring Moon really does take advantage as soon as it gets up and running with the taking of prizes. But for Gino, you know, it unlocks so many different avenues with being a prize down. It unlocks his counter catches. His INO is now more effective. He also plays the unfair stamp as well. So we could see a real early disruption from Gino here. Doesn't play any sort of accelerator to get into those Dragapults and Charizards early on. Doesn't play any Rare Candy. Does play the TM Evolution, however. Does play the Rare Candy. Does play 2 copies of Rare Candy. So can, you know, get into that Dragapult EX if he's fortunate to find it on the bench. Has already attached that energy to the 3P.
This could be a pretty big iron then. Rare Candy. Well, I guess we need to maneuver out the active. Does have a skateboard? Do we see? Oh, no. We could play it on fair stamp if you do want to really keep digging for that Rare Candy combination. Obviously, we're probably not going to see an itchy pollen. Recon directive. Does that get us there? Bukitoy Fire. Not quite as helpful. Yeah, I think the unfair stamp would be a bit too premature for Gino because Johan has already established 2 Hootoot on board. Yeah. So there's dual seekers. If Johan is able to find an out to a Noctowl, will just, you know, it'll just not be as effective as Gino might want it to be. I think he wants to wait for the later game to start using that disruption as effective as possible. And here we see the Buddy Puffin coming down. You can imagine a Charmander is going to be coming down on the board pretty soon. And I think for Johan, possibly going for that Baby Raging Bolt next turn, taking out those Charmanders. You know, the threat of that Charizard is definitely there. Burning Darkness is the only Pokemon within Gino's deck that can take these big one-shot knockouts on the Raging Bolt. So just delivering the hand here. Does have the Luminous Energy. Has already attached return the retreat into the Charmander. Did we not? I was about to say. There we go.
It has already attached return, and it's just going to be a pass. This Charmander is going to be a sacrificial lamb, so to speak, in this turn. And Johan will be going, you'd think, 2 prizes up in this game already, and that's going to be a dangerous spot to be in if you're Gino. It is over to Johan. Now, does have the items unlocked, but did get INO, so will only have 5. 6 after the top deck. Now let's see what they are. Remember, there's Noctowl alive, so any Noctowl basically turns into any 2 trainers that Johan would like. I'm trying to see, we've got Night Stretcher, Mew EX, another Hoot, I believe. Can't make out what that second card is out to our left. There's a Nest Ball. Actually, I'm not sure if this hand is that great, you know. Yeah, it doesn't look fantastic. Hope to see maybe another Grass Energy to start using Teal Dance, start drawing some cards further. It is the main engine for draw in this deck. Noctowl, of course, with the dual secret ability, just makes you effectively pick and choose through the deck for 2 trainer cards rather than drawing from the top. Doesn't have much going on the hand, I don't think. Just the Hootoot and the Bellowing Thunder for 1 prize on the Charmander. Not terrible, though. I think now that Johan has established 2 Teal Mask Oakbon on field, at least it's going to be an ongoing threat if Gino decides to attack with any sort of Charizard EX. And I tell you what as well, having to discard energy from the Teal Dance, the Teal Mask Oakbon is kind of important. As we do see the unfair stamp come down, goodness gracious, that's going to give Johan a 2-card hand and Gino a 5-card hand. Is that I believe with weakness, the Teal Mask Oakbon still needs 4 energy on it, right? 4 energy. Still needs 4 energy. Having to discard 1 off that one's making it hard because these Raging Bolt decks aren't like they were before, or the Reggie Drago decks who pay a whole lot of energy switch to get them all onto 1 Pokemon. So having to discard 1 off there is an interesting mini game. But let's see what Gino does here after the unfair stamp. Let's see how it treats him. Still has support alive. We see the Ultra Ball, so Dragapult EX can come down. We see a counter catcher as well. So Gino could go chasing whatever he likes. Recon directive, block scouting, and an Arvum. There's a Rare Candy as well, actually. There is a Rare Candy in there. Could establish a Dragapult now. I will just correct this as well. The Myriad Leaf Shower will take a 1-shot knockout as long as the Charizard has 2 energy attached. So if he was to burn in Darkness, then it will be a knockout with Myriad Leaf Shower because it will be 5 energy plus the 30 on the Myriad Leaf Shower will be 180, and then of course doubling it with weakness. Here we go. We do see the Charizard EX come down. Infernal Rain has been activated. That means you can accelerate 3 5 energy from your deck to your Pokemon in any way you like. Now we still have the Ultra Ball as well, so we can see the Charizard EX come down plus a Dragapult EX if Gino chooses. Shuffling the deck, that makes me think maybe he doesn't want to do that. Maybe he's going to use the Charizard EX this turn. Yeah, it's really awkward here because you're not even taking a knockout on this Raging Bolt. You're only doing 240 with that Bravery Charm on the Raging Bolt. That would only put it to 250 damage. So it'll be 40 damage off for a knockout with Burning Darkness. This is quite an awkward spot for Gino. You'd think that... Oh, there's the counter catcher. Just as I was about to say, the counter catcher on that Ogerpon EX is probably the most optimal play there because at least you have the security of not facing up another Ogerpon next turn for an easier knockout on yourself. And there we go. Big KO there with Burning Darkness. Gino taking 2 prize cards here, evening it up. And Benjamin, that is an intimidating looking Charizard. Certainly is. Johan will need now 5 energy to discard with Bellowing Thunder for a knockout on this Charizard. So a Professor Starter Vitality onto another ancient Pokemon, Raging Bolt, either the baby or the EX being his only option. So here we see a Teal Dance for just drawing 1 off the top. You really want to see a Noctowl in this situation, find those pieces. It's almost a non-negotiable at this point, I believe. It is. I think without any sort of response knockout on this Charizard, puts him in a real awkward space, actually. Yeah, this could get out of hand fast if this Charizard is left to its own devices. Now, worth noting that, you know, that is Raging Bolt has Bravery Charm. That's a very hefty Pokemon. It is. It can tank a hit from this Charizard. It can right now. Definitely Johan doesn't want to take a 1 prize knockout, increasing their damage output by Burning Darkness. So I think it's either a knockout on the Charizard or just taking a big hit on it. I think for interesting is that Johan does play the Crispin, so can get energy onto that Ogerpon EX if he was able to find a Noctowl here, or an out to Crispin. Has already used his Teal Dance, so getting another grass energy from the deck. You'd think that he maybe has another out to another Teal Mask Ogerpon in the hand for another Teal Dance. Doesn't play any energy switch, so can't do the shenanigans that you usually see from it, which is a Teal Dance, energy switch onto another Ogerpon for a knockout or a Raging Bolt.
Oh, nope, that wasn't a turn attach.
There's the nice stretcher. Here comes the other Teal Mask Ogerpon. This is going to be a real important one card shape on the top.
Here we go, Teal Dance. What is it, Johan? Joe, what's it? Oh, go on, give it. What is it?
Oh, it's a Ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah,
we don't want that.
Not fantastic.
This is a KO though, right? If you discard all 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bellowing Thunder. Big damage there for Johan. 2 prize cards away from closing us out here in our top 8 game 1 feature match, but now has no energy in play. Can Gino, get ahead? Now, this is actually quite dicey for Gino, right? Because you can't actually, KO this Raging Bolt. It's not possible. So that's the case. This is Johan's game to lose. If he can reload and KO again, that's it. That's game 1 wrapped up. What can Gino do? Already seen Unfair Stamp being used. So maybe an Ironer, but the problem is Johan hasn't seen a Noctowl yet. At some point, he's going to draw into them. So the Ironers might be losing their effectiveness. Yeah,
we were focusing on a knockout with the Teal Mask Ogerpon, but we forgot about the Raging Bolt. Already had 2 energy attached and the Teal Mask with 1. A simple Teal Dance and a manual attachment will take knockout here. But I think not finding any other draw support from the hand, it does put Johan in an awkward spot if Gino is able to find a response knockout here. And I would think if I was Gino, I'd really want to start taking out these Hoots and start using an Iono to start disrupting Johan, limiting his hand to only 2, limiting his outs to get back into the game. Does have a counter catcher in hand and an Iono as well.
Doesn't play the Halucha, which you've seen this weekend. That would have been lovely if you could counter catcher, bring up the Hoot, weave in a little bit of a Halucha to KO them both at the same time. Unfortunately, that's not possible. So we're going to see Iono. That's going to give you 2 cards. We'll get 4.
I think with this approach, Gino's taking now, it's not taking a knockout, but it's setting up the 4 prize turn for next turn. So using the Phantom Dive and sprinkling the damage straight onto that Ogerpon EX on the bench, or even the Raging Bolt, I think at this point, will put them both within a range, and then another gusting of from Gino will put himself in that position of taking 4 prizes and the game. But it's whether Johan can respond here, whether we drew out of that Iono with those 2 cards. And another Ultra Ball coming down for Gino. I really don't want to evolve this Dracloak, actually, just in case Johan responds with another Iono himself. Doesn't want to limit his options to draw cards. I do like the option for a Treepy for a potential Dracloak fixed in. Ooh, the Festivity.
I don't know how much I like that. Yeah, that's a low hit point to prize a Pokemon. Wouldn't be too hard to KO, realistically, but it has come down. Flip Script is obviously live, letting you draw 3 cards, 1, 2, and the 3rd. This is a really interesting game. Johan's going to try and piece together the 4 prize turn, as you said. Johan just want to close the game out sooner rather than later. Phantom Dive has been announced. That's 200 damage into the active. And it looks like we're going to put, how many is that? 1 there. That's in range of Phantom Dive. Spread the rest out via Hoot. And this is interesting. And this is, Johan doesn't want to actually leave damage in play now, because if you do, Monkey Dory bounces it straight back onto that Teal Mask Ogerpon with 10 hit points. How has the Iono treated Johan? Here we go, finding out the discard pile. So much energy in
the discard pile. And
you need 5 again, right?
Yeah, you need 5 again to take a knockout on this.
Oh, that's only 1 ancient Pokemon.
Yeah, something I was about to mention. There's only 1 ancient Pokemon on the field, so Professor Sod of Vitality only able to accelerate 1 energy, and therefore limiting the damage output. Here's the Noctowl now. Can he find a knockout and a potential gust on that Festivity? Here's the Prime Catcher, 2 Deal Dance. I think he has it if he has manual attachment. Only 4 energy required on the knockout and the Festivity. Here we go, 2 energy from that energy retrieval attachment onto the Raging Ball. Teal Dance, gusting up on the Festivity, and Johan able to take game 1. Wow, what a sequence of cards. Didn't even you need to use Dual Seeker in the earlier game. Just that 1 Dual Seeker in the later turns was able to take the match.
Wow, and there we said as soon as that Festivity come down, we were both like, uh-oh, that could come back to haunt Gino. That's exactly what happened. The low hit point 2 prize Pokemon has perfect math with the Bellowing Thunder 70 times multiplier. 70, 140, 210. Johan was able to close it out, but this was the sort of, I think this was Johan's game to lose. Even though it did lead the 2 prize Raging Bolt, we don't want to be using that. It was fine. And here was a big KO with the Bellowing Thunder to send that Charizard EX to the discard pile. Gino did everything he could. Was trying on up that 4 prize turn, was playing around Festivity, did the Iono to 2 plus the the setting damage up, but this was the turn that was put together so nicely with that Prime Catcher plus Professor Sada plus turn attachment combination, and that puts Johan 1 game away from top 4. Gino needs to respond.
Yeah, fantastic turn from Johan there to end the game. I mean, we got so focused in that middle of the game to take a knockout on the Charizard. We were thinking, oh, he's got to take knockout with the Teal Mask Ogerpon, but just like we mentioned before the game, there are so many different options for Johan to approach this one. Can take the knockouts with the Teal Mask Ogerpon and the Charizard, taking advantage of weakness, but the Raging Bolt is ever prevalent in this matchup because of its unlimited damage output.
It really is unlimited, and it can just go sky high out of nowhere, not just limited to Professor Sada. We have turn attachments, we have Teal Dance, and we even have Crispin as an extra way to get energy into play as well. And Bellowing Thunder having that 7 times multiplier gets out of hand really fast, right? We just saw it just takes 3 energy, hit 210, great number to knock out, Festivity. Add a couple more, and now you want to show pretty much everything that's relevant at that point. So not the hardest thing in the world to do, and yet we didn't even see the 1 prize Raging Bolt either, which is a card I'm sure Johan would like to use. So I think if you're Johan now, 1 game up and the game panned out like that, I'm feeling quite confident.
Yeah, and I think Johan approached that game perfectly. With the Raging Bolt best year, it was all about what do I draw off the top of my deck, but now it's in connection with the Teal Dance and the Dual Seeker. It's a little bit more of a thinking game. You have to really pick and choose your outs to this matchup. You have to go through each game as it comes in terms of game plan. And awkward board states and different matchups will determine your approach to the game. And Johan is obviously a seasoned player, So his Dual Seekers will be, going to be interesting to see how he approaches this game. Now, you can imagine you're going to see more than one Dual Seeker throughout this round. You'd think so. And, Charizard, Dragapult, is it a fantastic matchup? I think on the face of it, I wasn't thinking it was a great one for Johan at the start. But I think that with the amount of different options that Johan has, I actually think, you know what, he might come away with this one.
I think so. We do see the unfair stamp Rabsca and the luminous energy, but then for Johan did prize the single prize Raging Bolt as well. Does only play one copy. We're not going to see that in this game too. But Johan has left a Ditto and then has a Teal Dance activation as well. Now let's talk about Ditto. That's something we heard too much now. Transformative start. As long as it's your first turn of the game and this Pokemon is in the active spot, which it is, you can swap it. Well, you can discard it, search your deck for a basic Pokemon and replace it with that. They're basically saying whatever Pokemon Johan wants in the active, well, basic Pokemon, he'll be able to get in the active straight away.
It's probably the best starter you can have because there are so many different options that you can take by starting the Ditto. If you're able to find a Fan Rotom through any sort of ball search like Johan has here, at least the Ditto you can swap into that Raging Bolt ready to attack next turn. It's a real aggressive Pokemon for the little pink Pokemon that we all think is harmless. In the terms of the TCG, this is a fantastic card. It really, really is. And without any sort of needing for switch out as well. With the Ditto, you can switch into that Raging Bolt, like I said, and just get ready for those next turns, get ready for those aggressions, and in connection with the Fan Rotom as well. It's even searchable, and here we see the Fan Rotom as well, searching up 2 Hoodoos and a possible Noctowl for next turn, and just going to look through his deck once more, maybe just going through his hand once more, maybe before he decides to use Transformative Start. Just one more search of the deck, just trying to concentrate as to what options he has here. We already know his prizes.
I think he'd really look to try and Ditto for the single prize Raging Bolt, but unfortunately that's in the prize card, so we might have to see a rinse and repeat of last game where we get the Raging Bolt EX into the active. I mean, there's one card we haven't talked about too much, is the one prize Slitherwing. The 120 damage, does 9 to itself when your opponent's active is burnt. Really good at dealing with Resolute Heart Pikachu EX.
Yes.
But it is to the single prizer. You never know.
Yeah, I think you're forced here to get out the Raging Bolt EX.
Yeah, I think so.
For Pheasantipity, perhaps.
That's interesting.
No way to accelerate onto that Pheasantipity. Cruel Arrow doing 100 damage onto your opponent's board is another way to snipe, I suppose.
Is this going to find Latia?
Pheasantipity.
Does he play a rescue board? That's going to be relatively...
He does have Front Catcher. So
maybe he has Crispin in hand. He's going to try and line up some Cruel Arrows. If he turn attach now,
yes.
Noctowl, find Crispin, turn attach Crispin, and he start firing some Cruel Arrows. Perhaps not something we hear too often with Pheasantipity. Does do 100 damage when your opponent's bench Pokemon, though.
Is another way to snipe. It is a sniping Pokemon.
Bravery Charge. I think that might be Johan's lining up the Brave Pheasantipity that could. We might be seeing it. I'd love to see some Cruel Arrow. I've always said it's a good attack when you're using it. Now, it's over to Gino, though. Great opening hand. I see a Charmander. I see the Buddy Puffin. And so I'm going to grab any 2 Pokemon with 7 HP or less and pop them on the bench. Now, Vegino did prize the Rabsca. Which actually would have been really good at stopping Cruel Arrow, funnily enough, but with the Rabsca in the prize cards, that won't be possible. And there is one Charmander in the prizes as well. Worth noting, Gino does play a 2 line of the Charizard EX Charmander combination. So that one Charmander you see there in that hand, that is the only one available to Gino at this moment in time.
Yeah, going for that Cruel Arrow option for Johan, you'd imagine you'd be licking your lips at seeing Gino put down some of these Pokemon, low HP Pokemon like the Dreepy, like the Charmander. But for Gino, I think it's going to be the same game plan as we see from many of the other Dragapults. It's just starting to disrupt your opponents. We already know that Johan has picked a Noctowl from the Fan Rotom. It's a reason why it is so effective, because if you're able to just get out a Noctowl with that Fan Call ability, it means that you're not depending on items to find the Dual Seeker Noctowl. So you imagine going for a Crispin next turn, just like you said, to accelerate energy on that Pheasantipity will be the game plan for Johan. I'd like to see... he's already used Box Scouting, of course, to put down 2 bench Pokemon. However, I don't like that Relor on the bench.
I like the mind games here, right? Gino has prized it. Maybe hoping I can take it at some point, or maybe trying to do the mind games with Johan saying, listen, I do play Rabsca, that Cruel Arrow, don't bother with that business there, don't do that, because... I would love to see if that pans out, funnily enough. Has got the army of GP and the Charmander, and if you do see Itchy Pollen, no items for Johan. Now, with seeing the Relor, will Johan still opt to go for the Cruel Arrow? If we do a confirmation in our other top 8, looks like Camille is 1 game up against Alberto Conti in that Dragapult mirror match there, as it were. So, love getting the feedback. We'll get more of it when we can, but right now Camille is 1 game up. Here we do see the Crispin, no Benjamin.
Yeah, didn't need to use any sort of Dual Seeker for that Crispin. Already had it in hand, fortunately for him. But it's all about the mind games, like you said, because whether, you'd hope to think that Gino does know that he's prized the Rabsca, and whether Johan will prioritise going for that Relor rather than Charmander.
Yeah, maybe that's what he's trying to say. Listen, I do play Rabsca. If you want to keep doing this Cruel Arrow business, you're going to have to get rid of my Relor. Yeah. I'd love to see if that actually pans out. The sort of mind tricks here in a Pokemon trading card game. Let's see what Johan does do. So we do see the Crispin does get committed. Energy to the active. We do see the turn attachment to the active. Cruel Arrows live 100 damage to any one of your opponent's Pokemon. And Johan says, don't worry about the Relong, going straight after the Charmander. Stop any of that funny business, please, with Infernal Rain. Johan, 1 prize card up. Here comes Gino, going to bench the Pheasantipity, draw 3 cards, flip script.
Yeah, not fantastic cards either. Luminous Energy, Buddy Puffin, and the Fire Energy. Already had Charizard in hand as well. Is that a Professor's Research or a Brock Scouting?
That's a Brock Scouting.
Brock Scouting. I think it's going to be 2. One Dracloak.
One Dracloak.
Not fantastic for Gino, and that Relor's definitely here to stay, because you'd think that he's going to be getting out a Dracloak. Johan's thinking, well, where's your Rabsca?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what this Dracloak, I don't know what kind of reconnaissance is going to get off this recon directed, but it's going to have to be good, as we do get confirmation that Yoa is 1 game up against Ryan Morehouse as well in our other top 8 game over there. Oh, Dracloak does fire another Dracloak though into a Jack. That would be very good for next turn. Not quite good enough now though.
Yeah, the threat is ever present from that Pheasantipity EX on Yoan's board, because even if he is deciding to manually attach on boards to one of these Dracloaks, he knows it's going to be easy.
There's no point. That's just going to get full arrow.
Yeah, so no energy attachment for Gino here. You'd think he's going to be definitely prioritizing going for one of those Dracloaks with that cruel arrow attack.
And now, if you're Yoan, it's just time to get energy on board for that Raging Bot. Right, saying, well, I'm going to do my best to stop your Dragapult, and the second it comes out, I'm going to Bellowing Thunder it away. That's what I think Yoan's going to try and do here.
The awkward spot, I think, for Gino here is that there's no energy acceleration apart from the Charizard's Infernal Rain ability, so not even committing a manual attachment is pretty big here, because it's going to be a couple of turns before Gino is even able to attack with a Dragapult EX.
There we go, cool arrow and a KO bench Dracloak. Yoan takes his second prize card. Gino, now we do know, does have the Jack on board, but as you say, with no way to sort of leapfrog an energy count, we're not going to be seeing a Phantom Dive this turn. We can't be using that copy of Chi-Yu from Mega Fire of Envy. That requires 2 fire energy as well. I think the best case scenario is a Jet Headbutt if you look at strictly damage output here, but
I think the security of evolving into a Dragapult EX, at least you can hide behind the terrestrialized effect of having bench barrier. So at least if you do evolve into a Dragapult and attach energy for turn, you know at least you have the safety of it not being able to be cruel arrowed. But with that Raging Bolt, it does look pretty threatening on board. 1 energy attachment already and 3 energy attached to Pheasantipity, including 1 energy attachment to the Teal Mask Pokemon. A manual attachment will be able to take a knockout on a Dragapult EX if Yoan is able to find Gust. And you can imagine with 2 Hoot on board, I mean, you know, the dual Seeker abilities could come thick and fast. But onto Gino's board here, the Super Rod putting back in, I believe it was 1 Dreepy, 1 Charmander. The Buddy Buddy Puff in now. I mean, you have to go for a Charmander at this point, right?
Yeah, I think you really have to. The game's slipping away for Dragapult here, so I think it's going to start being Charizard going to come knocking on the door and get involved. There is the Charmander. If eagle-eyed viewers of that Charmander artwork, if you look towards the grass floor, you see the shadow of Charizard flying above. Will the Charmander be able to evolve into the Charizard and try and get Gino out of this mess, as it were? Only time will tell. Haven't seen a supporter yet. We do have counter catcher. Did get drawn into, so that'd be good. Play a little bit of musical chairs.
Yeah.
Give it awkward.
At least the counter catcher would put up, say, Pokemon like the Fanrotom or the Hoothoot, requiring a manual attachment and retreat from Yoan, so you have the safety of not having, well, just disrupting further.
Fanrotom could attack, right, with a Stadium.
That's right, actually. Yeah,
that takes a cheeky little prize.
But I mean, for Gino, you'd really want to find an Iron at this point, right?
Yeah, that's why he hasn't actually played. Oh, Rare Candy. Rare Candy's good. The Charizard, that's the fastest recon directive I've ever seen. So that means Charizard can come down. We do set Dragapult EX, as you say, with the terrestrialized power. I mean, it cannot get hit by that cool arrow. Luminous energy attachment.
Yeah, Luminous energy coming down on the Dragapult.
Worth noting, quite a few. Oh, we are going to see a free retreat into the Jet Headbutt. Oh, where's the counter catcher as well? I imagine. No, just Jet Headbutt into Avia. Now, I like this because it's setting up for some big, silly shenanigans, multiplies turns later on down the board. Yes. Yoan has got his items back now, though. Let's see what he can do. Earth and Vessel, I see.
Yeah,
not bad start.
Softening up from the Jet Headbutt onto the Pheasantipity will at least put damage on board. We know that Dragapult takes advantage of these awkward board states with damage being spread across the board, taking multiple prizes. So I think that, you know, Gino really does have to apply some sort of pressure, put damage on board now. And here we see the first dual seeker of the game for Yoan. And, I mean, I think for Gino now, he's accepting that the Dragapult could be knocked out this turn. And I think now with...
Yeah, I think with Area 0, that's going to let you feel the bench more. Latias comes straight down. That means you can preserve these energy from Pheasantipity. That means Bellowing Thunder. We just need the fighting energy at that point so we can actually use the attack. And we know Earth and Vessel's already in hand. So let's do some quick math. That'd be what, 70, 140, 210, 280. Yep, as long as we can use Bellowing Thunder, we have a KO this turn.
Yep. 5 energy required for a knockout on these Dragapult EXs and these Charizards. Now, a nest board here for another Raging Bolt EX and then a Professor Sala's Vitality would be massive here, but opting to go for another Teal Dance instead.
Just want to quickly draw attention, sorry to interrupt you there. We have extra bench Pokemon now because of that Area 0 Underdepth Stadium. As long as you have a terrestrialized Pokemon in play, you can have up to 8 cards, Pokemon on your bench. You know, Yoan has multiple Terra Pokemon in play, those Teal Mask Ogerpon, so now we have 8 cards on our bench.
Yes, a great effect, especially when you want to open your bench wide. You have all these different support Pokemon like the Teal Mask Ogerpon, like the Noctowl. You know, you don't feel any sort of threat of getting bench locked or overloading your non-attackers and rather support Pokemon. And Yoan just using that Teal Dance, drawing another card. I really think a Professor Sada here onto another Raging Bolt would be great here. Oh, I like the retreat with the fighting energy, meaning that the Professor Sada Vitality is able to put the fighting energy back onto that Raging Bolt.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And this is interesting because we have KO on board while still preserving energy on a Teal Mask Ogerpon. That means if that Charizard comes up, Teal Dance don't attach, that's gone as well.
Yes, and the fighting energy coming down with the Slitherwing as well, like you mentioned earlier. That single prize Pokemon able to take a knockout, I believe, on the Pheasantipity as well, actually.
Yeah, 120 times 2.
Yeah, due to weakness on that Pheasantipity. I mean, there's all sorts of threats on board now for Gino. I mean, you know, how do we approach this?
Big Bellowing Thunder for the big, massive KO. Are we going to there we go, just saying. And just debating which one to discard here. Could go off, the wing could go off there. There we go. Big Bellowing Thunder for KO. Yoan is 2 prize cards away from securing himself a slot in top 4. 2 prize cards left to take. Gino, over to you. Now, we know it does have Rare Candy Charizard in hand. Do we see an Ino as well? That would be the icing on the cake there, as it were. Infernal Rain, going to grab, 3 or 5 energy attached to them, whatever you like.
The best turn here for Gino would be a counter catcher on the Teal Moscow one with the energy attachment, and then an Ino. I think that's his only hope at this point. You know, he's staring down that Johan with 4 prizes down at this point, only needing 2 prizes to win. And Jan Schaefer, as we can see from our other top 8 match, taking the win there with N Zarwag against Noah with the Dragapult, who we had on stream earlier. That's a big game going on there, just showing the variance we have in our top 8 match. But Gino, oh, can he find this Ino from the Flip the Script or Dracalope? And just the Ultra Ball there can thin out his deck even further. Already has the counter catcher in hand, fortunately. But it's that Ino. Oh,
Flip the Script.
I don't know if he already had it in hand, actually.
Well, Ino. No, I think it's too good with a block scouting, I believe.
I can't find it.
No. Opted not to shuffle the deck, maybe because he knows the cards at the bottom of the deck from a previous Ino. Doesn't want to shuffle them up.
This is not a great spot if you're Gino.
Does have the counter catcher KO still, right? So it's not complete end of the world, but
you're still not taking the threat out of that Raging Bolt, however. And now that Johan was able to establish 2 Hoothoot on the board, as well as the Slitherwing for Gust and attachment on the Pheasantipity. There's so many different ways that Johan could win there, right?
Yeah, you know, Burning Turbulence KOs Pheasantipity EX. You know, Myriad Leaf Shower KOs a Charizard EX via weakness as well. It just gets an Bellowing Thunder. Yeah, there's enough energy in play. That KOs whatever it likes as well. So Johan's really trying to set counter to the counter to the counter. And I think without the Ino, if the threat coming down, we've seen Reset Stamp get used, or it's in the prize card. I apologise, I can't be using that. Gino's going to have to hope that Johan cannot, you know.
It was an Arvin, not an Ino.
Oh, yeah. We does the counter catcher KO though still.
Yeah.
And that is the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum we realistically needed to see, right?
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I think that is the bare minimum that you can do at this point. Does he even go for the Pheasantipity? Oh, goes for the
without the energy. We're going to attack with...
going with the Dragapult EX, going for a Phantom Dive rather. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see the line of play here. Going for a double prize knockout here, and then maybe hoping to see an Ino in the later turns, perhaps.
Yeah, Prime Catcher is so live here with a fighting energy, burning turbulence onto Pheasantipity. That would be disastrous. And we have a Hoo-Hoo. Here we go, Jewel Seeker. Are we going to see it? There's so many ways to skin this cat, as it were. There's the Prime Catcher. Do we have Earthen Vessel or Fighting Energy? Rescue Stretcher, not Stretcher, sorry, that can find the Fighting Energy. And here we go, I mentioned it at the start of the game, we're going to see Burning Turbulence plus Prime Catcher KO for Johan, who secures his slot in top 4 here at the Utrecht Championship. Congratulations.
What a dominant performance from Johan there. I mean, Raging Bolt just showing the myriad of different options they have to take this game. Was able to even use